Okay,
Okay.
go for it, Taka.
Yeah. Okay. Howdy, everybody. This is Take.
Hi, I'm Richard,
We are broadcasting from Okayama, Japan to the world.
and you're watching Take's Bluegrass Hero Interviews.
In this series, we explore the lives and contributions of the remarkable individuals who have shaped bluegrass music and who I consider my heroes.
And our guest today is the talented multi-instrumentalist Chuck Nation.
Chuck was
Welcome,
a
Chuck.
member of the legendary Bluegrass Alliance. That's when he became my hero. Chuck, we are so happy to have you with us today.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Great. I still remember trying to duplicate your Mandarin phrases from Dueling Banjos, the tune you played on the Tall Grass album back in the early 1970s. We'll come back to that great album a little later, but for now, let's start from the beginning. Chuck, what was the music like in your household when you were growing up?
Yeah, like a lot of people where I lived, I grew up in northwest Georgia, right at the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. And my dad played music. He was a banjo player, but he also played guitar, fiddle, mandolin, bass, piano. He played everything. And
Wow.
so he taught me, I started playing mandolin when I was 8 years old. And then shortly after picked up guitar, and I was always around music. He always had, when he was at home, weekends have jam sessions, plus he played out in a band called the Deep River Boys, and I would
Mhm.
go with them sometimes to their gigs. I played when I was 9 years old. I played my first paying gig. I was I played a rhythm guitar at a
Mhm.
square dance for old fiddler Wally Bryson, and I got paid $8. So I started early playing music, but I was always around it. I cannot remember ever there being a time when there wasn't music in the house, and stringed instruments were available to me to
Mhm.
pick up and learn as well.
Great. Well, I understand that you are three-time Georgia State Fiddle champion. That's truly impressive. How old were you when you first won the title? And what do you remember about that experience?
Oh, that's a good question. Don't remember the first time I won it. I don't remember what year, but it would have been in the 2000s. I'm guessing 2008 or nine, something like that. I do remember the Louisiana State Fiddle Championship. I won that in 1984, but
84.
when I moved back to Georgia for the final time, I hope, I entered the contest, and I've
Mhm.
won it. I have won it three times. I think the last time was 2023 was the third
Uh-huh.
time, but the dates for the first one, it was a few years before that, I guess. Maybe I can't see the plaque from here, but
Mhm.
anyway, yeah. And also won the Georgia State Mandolin Championship. I think that was 2012 or 2013. So it would have been in that range.
Uh-huh. It's not long ago. Not that long ago. I thought you were a little young boy starting won the
Oh
title.
no, I went to a lot of contests, but I just played when I was young. North Alabama, North Georgia, Tennessee. I always had fiddle contests in old schoolhouses when I was growing up as a kid, but I normally just played rhythm guitar for my dad, who
Oh,
entered, and he would enter banjo and other categories. I didn't really
mhm.
compete until I was grown, and actually, when I went back to college, and I guess we'll get into that story later, but
Yeah.
I paid my college tuition winning fiddle
Mhm.
contest so I could pay my school bill.
Chuck, so did you have to be a resident of the state to enter those competitions?
No, you do not have to be.
Mhm.
I actually was, when I won the Louisiana State Championship, I did live in Louisiana, but that wasn't a requirement.
Oh, I see.
They come from all over to the Georgia contest, and I've played contest Alabama, Tennessee. I'm
Mhm.
actually I don't remember the year, but there's a lot of contests that aren't state championships, but they pay well for prize money, for first place. I am the Monroe County Tobacco Harvest Fiddle King. That
Quite a title.
Yeah, really. I even got a plaque plus prize money. That was in Sweetwater, Tennessee. So you don't have to be a resident, no.
Oh,
Great.
okay.
Well, Chuck, your 2006 album, One Man Band, is a remarkable showcase of your versatility. You played every stringed instrument on the record yourself.
Yes, I
That
did.
said, if you were to define yourself as a musician, which would you call your primary instrument? The fiddle, the mandolin, or something else entirely?
Yeah, that's a good question because I feel like I'm at least equally proficient on all of them: fiddle, mandolin, guitar, banjo, bass, whatever. It really depends, or has depended, on the time. That has changed. I've always, if you ask me what is my favorite instrument, I've always given the same answer for the last 60 years plus, and that's guitar. I was always a guitar player, but I'd have to say that probably the answer to that is I'm primarily a fiddle player, I guess. I play it more now than anything, and I feel comfortable being able to play just about any kind of music with it. So I guess I'm a fiddle player now.
Yeah, okay. Now let's have a little fun, Jack. Imagine you are putting together a super band, Chuck Nation super band, with yourself playing your primary instrument, that's a fiddle. Who would you choose for the other parts?
Oh, wow. I mean, we're just talking theoretically here, right? Well, I'd have my favorite mandolin player has always been, since I first heard him when I was a teenager, is Sam Bush. So I'd want Sam to play mandolin.
Okay.
He and I are friends, and I'd call him first to play mandolin. Banjo, my favorite. I've played with a lot of great banjo players, a lot of really good ones, and I could give you a list, but my favorite banjo player is a guy that lives up near Knoxville, Tennessee, and plays in Pigeon Forge, Gary Davis. They call him Biscuit, and Biscuit's my all-time favorite. He's my go-to guy most of the time if I want to record. And if you listened to my Fiddle Favorites CD, he plays most of the banjo, although I have some other banjo players that were national champions playing, Charles Wood and Barry Palmer. But Gary is my favorite banjo. So Gary played banjo and Sam on bass. Guitar, man, I don't know. I guess I'd have to pick everybody's bluegrass favorite, which would be Tony Rice. I knew Tony, and I used to jam with Tony when he lived in Lexington and I lived in Louisville. We'd go down, when the Bluegrass Alliance wasn't booked and he was playing with J.D. Crowe, we'd go down and listen to them. It's not far from Louisville to go to Lexington and then go over his apartment and jam all night. But I guess that would be my all-star bluegrass band if I was playing fiddle.
Yeah. Did you say bassist?
Oh, I didn't pick one. I better say my wife.
I had a feeling you would say that, but
yes,
keep the peace at home.
She grew up in a musical family as well. Her dad was a fiddle player. Actually, he played fiddle and guitar and banjo, all of it. And her brother was a banjo player. He actually took lessons, learned to play from Alan Shelton. And Susan grew up in a musical household and has played bass since childhood. So I would want her on the session if we were recording.
Great. All right. Thank you so much, Jack.
Yeah, man.
Well, this is for our viewers. Chuck has shared several links to his music with us, and we added them to the description below. Be sure to check them out after the interview. Okay, now next question, Chuck. you've involved in music from a young age, and you've performed in a wide variety of contexts, from contest to bands and to solo work. At what point did you realize that music was going to be more than just a hobby for you?
Oh, I don't know that I came to that realization, Take, because I've always played music since I can remember anything, and music's always a part of my life. I tell people that I cannot not play, if that makes sense. I can't not play music. It's just something I do. Maybe it's an addiction. I don't know. But it's in me, and I've always played regardless of the setting. And I couldn't imagine not playing regardless of the situation. I've tried to not play actually, and tried to quit, and I couldn't. That sounds like it, doesn't it?
Kind of an internal life force for you.
I guess.
Yeah.
I guess. I just I love it. I hear it. It's part of me, and I couldn't imagine not playing. So I never came to any realization of making it a life work or a calling or a profession. I've just always played.
Were there any musicians who particularly inspired you to take this path?
I'm sorry, I'm a little hard of hearing. Inspire me to do
Were
what?
there any musicians who particularly inspired you to take this path? Your musician.
Well, my dad, of course, that would be number one. He always played, and I played a lot with him. In fact, I tell people I never really learned to play banjo. I just sat in front of him with a rhythm guitar all my childhood and watched him play. And so I just picked it up and started playing. I pretty much had it memorized visually and just started playing. So my dad would be a big influence at inspiring me to play. And then I had the good fortune to be around a lot of good musicians all through childhood and beyond adulthood. And I guess it would depend on the instrument. My dad was a great influence for banjo and playing. And he was a Reno and Smiley fan, big fan of Reno and Smiley. And as far as guitar, my inspiration was Don Reno. I mean, I loved his banjo playing, but when I was young, there weren't that many flat pickers on guitar. And Don Reno was my favorite. People say when I play it, it reminds me of his playing. So it's not intentional, but that would be on guitar. And I mentioned Sam Bush on mandolin. Before that, of course, I heard great mandolin players, Buck White. I met him and knew him, even played with him later. But we moved from Georgia to Louisiana when I was a teenager, 15 or 16, I guess. And there was nearby my home a place called the Old South Jamboree. They had music every Saturday night. It seated about 2,500 people. And I played on their inaugural show, in fact, with Alan Shelton and some others. But anyway, I had the opportunity to hear a lot of great music by going to those Saturday shows, country and bluegrass, because they had all the national acts come into that place. That was in South Louisiana near Baton Rouge, east of Baton Rouge. And fiddle players, I had a lot of growing up. Wally Bryson was a neighbor and good friend, and he taught me a lot on the fiddle. A guy named Kenny Lamb. All these guys have passed on now, but Kenny gave me a lot of tips. I never have had any lessons, unfortunately. I wish I had the opportunity to take lessons on instruments, but I'm totally self-taught. I just tell everybody I looked over the shoulder of a lot of people, and I've stood on a lot of shoulders musically. But Wally Bryson, Kenny Lamb, later, of course, Kenny Baker, loved his fiddle playing, and when I started going to festivals and playing at festivals, I followed Kenny around with a microphone and, recorded him. He'd jam out in the woods and, of course, listened to his albums and learned all of his fiddle tunes. And then others, of course, Bobby Hicks, Stuart Duncan. There's lots of great fiddle players, and all of them have a great influence on me, I think.
Great. Thank you so much. In early 1970s, you were a member of the legendary Bluegrass Alliance. I assume you joined the band after Sam Bush, Courtney Johnson, and Ivo Walker left to form Newgrass Revival and Tony Rice for J.D. Crowe. Is it correct?
Yes.
Yes. How did you become a member of the Bluegrass Alliance? And what was that tradition like for you?
Well, I had heard the Bluegrass Alliance when I went to the festival at Bean Blossom in Indiana. I'm sure you've heard of that. You may have been there back in the day. That was Bill Monroe's festival that he had just south of Indianapolis, about 50 miles, Bean Blossom, Indiana. And the Bluegrass Alliance played there that year. And that was with Sam and Courtney and Tony and Ebo and Lonnie Pierce. And they blew me away. I loved Sam's mandolin playing and, of course, Tony's guitar playing, all of it, Courtney on the banjo, and their harmonies. And I love their songs they picked and the arrangements. Anyway, I thought they were great. And they actually got out in the woods and jammed. This would have been about 71, I guess, I think 1971. So I went, and then, of course, they broke up. And Sam and Curtis Birch, who I think you've interviewed, and I love Curtis, and they started the Newgrass Revival. Curtis was playing guitar with the Bluegrass Alliance at the time. So they started looking for band members, they being Lonnie Pierce, and he got Garland Shupin on banjo. And I went back to the festival in Bean Blossom in June of 72, I believe it was. And I was playing fiddle with somebody there, and I can't remember who, why I went there. But anyway, jamming out like everybody used to jam out in the woods under trees, whatever. And they heard me playing mandolin, and they asked me to bring a mandolin, which I didn't even have. I was just borrowing a mandolin while I was there. So I borrowed a mandolin and got with them and auditioned, and we played and sang. And that would have been June of 72, I think. And first part of July, I went back home. I was living in South Louisiana at the time, just a teenager. And July, Lonnie Pierce called me, and I moved 700 miles to Louisville, Kentucky, and started playing with the Bluegrass Alliance.
When you were a teenager? 18?
Yeah.
19?
Yeah, I was 18 years old. So pretty young, but, all those guys were young back then. We all were young 50 plus years ago.
Yeah. Okay, in 1973, the Bluegrass Alliance released the album Tall Grass, just I mentioned before, featuring songs like I'll Never Find Another You and Pack Up Your Sorrows, which were originally folk pop hits from the late 1960s. What led the band to incorporate these kinds of songs into the repertoire?
Just looking for something different. I mean, Flatt and Scruggs and Bill Monroe have done their songs, and nobody's ever going to do them better than that. And considering, we took into consideration the market, and plus, if you listen to that album, we put our own style and stamp on those old songs, those pop songs or whatever. And
a couple of songs by Garland, right? Also, 2 songs maybe. I think there are 2 songs by Garland Shupin.
Yes.
Yeah, original.
Yeah, Garland was a prolific songwriter, and any band that's going to be professional play and record for a living needs to record their own songs.
Right.
And he wrote a lot of good songs. He really
Mhm.
did. In fact, Chuck Nation Band does one of his songs, maybe more than one. But
Mhm.
so yeah, we did some original material, and then some old stuff, and then took stuff like. But see, that had been the tradition for the Bluegrass Alliance from day one. I mean, I heard Billy Strings sing live online, Proud Mary, and he used the exact arrangement that the Bluegrass Alliance used back long before I ever came along. It was on one of their previous albums.
Oh, interesting.
So they had always taken songs like that, In the Early Morning Rain, Proud Mary, that kind of thing, and done bluegrass arrangements of it. That was in the early 70s. That was pretty common for modern bluegrass bands to do that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Chuck. In the early 1970s, when you joined the Bluegrass Alliance, many musicians, especially those with long hair, were part of the counterculture movement. Did you feel any of that influence in the bluegrass scene at the time?
Oh my, yes, of course. I mean, it was it became bluegrass music became very popular with that crowd, I guess you'd call them. I remember with the Bluegrass Alliance playing a festival in Culpeper, Virginia. I think this would have been about 1973, and there were 90,000 people there in the woods, and they were all they were all young people. Right. And we did some festivals. I think Jim Clark was the promoter, where they would have two stages going at the same time, and it would be a mix of everything from Bluegrass Alliance to Lewis Family to New Riders of the Purple Sage to John Hartford to the Dillards. And it was all young people and all what I guess you would call hippies or long-haired folks. So yeah, it definitely it was very. All those folks are old and gray-haired now, and they sit in lawn chairs in front of Bluegrass Festival performing.
Interesting.
That was the style back then, though.
Well, that was my introduction to listening to bluegrass. Having grown up in New York City, I didn't get much exposure. But then when some of these other rock and other performers started moving into that area as well, as you said, like the New Riders of the Purple Sage and David Grisman and others. And since then, I've got lots of exposure. And also some of the White Brothers as well, Roland and Clarence moving in. So yeah, that was a great time, a great time.
There's a new